Last November, I hit my first $10,000 month with my business. But after reaching that goal, I became complacent. I spent a month in Barcelona. Then I spent 2 months in Brazil. And traveling wasn't necessarily the problem. The problem was that I started to indulge in cheap dopamine again, and I lost the focus that got me to that 10k per month in the first place. So my momentum slowed down quite a bit, and now I'm making about $5,000 per month with my online business. So I made a new agreement with myself. I will sacrifice all forms of stimulation until I hit $100,000 per month. And I used the same type of sacrifice to hit my first 10k month. I've tried quitting distractions permanently. I've also done monk mode more than 10 times. Neither really worked for me, but indefinite sacrifice did. Basically sacrificing certain habits until I reach a goal. It helped me quit video games and weed for long enough, that was 13-14 months, in order to hit my first 10k month. And now I'm using it again to rebuild my momentum and to take my business 10 times further. So first I will explain why I'm doing this, then I'll show you the 10 things that I'm removing, and finally I'll explain why this type of agreement works so unbelievably well for me. So first things first, why am I doing this? Focus is about removing everything that doesn't directly take you to your goal. Your time, energy and attention are limited. If you spread them across work, video games, social media, Netflix, shopping, partying, a hobby, chilling with friends and watching the news, then your energy becomes scattered. But when you remove all of these outlets and you spend all of your energy into one specific thing, then you make massive progress towards your biggest priority. And I'm not saying that everything on the list is universally bad. I'm saying that these things have repeatedly pulled me away from the life that I'm trying to build. So until I hit $100,000 per month, they are all gone. So the first thing is drugs. And for me, this mainly means weed. I used to tell myself that weed makes me more creative, more relaxed and more present. But when I looked at the results, it mostly made me lazy and complacent. I would smoke weed, play video games, watch Netflix and do nothing. It became a way to cope. A way to escape discomfort. But in business, discomfort equals growth. And I care more about progress than about feeling comfortable. So weed is gone. The second thing is alcohol. Alcohol affects my sleep, my energy, and often part of the following day. And when you're trying to reach a difficult goal, you cannot keep giving away entire mornings because of what you did the night before. It is easy to justify because it is a socially accepted drug. That is why we call it alcohol and not drugs. But I'm not going to let social pressure decide where my energy goes. So alcohol is gone. The third is video games. I love competition, progression and unlocking new things. And that is exactly why gaming was so dangerous for me. It gives you immediate rewards. And business does not. You can work for weeks without seeing any results. You can publish something and nobody watches. You can create an offer and nobody buys. So when business and video games are both available, my brain naturally wants a faster reward. Business is also a game, but the rewards are real. So until I hit my goal, my real life has to be the only game that I'm playing. The fourth thing is short form content. TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. One video makes you laugh, the next one makes you angry, and the next one inspires you. Your attention and emotional state are constantly being pulled in different directions. Then you try to sit down and work on one thing for 2 hours. And of course, that feels hard. Short form content trains you to expect something new every few seconds. But meaningful work requires you to stay focused when the novelty disappears. So short form content is gone. The fifth thing is sugar. It creates highs and lows in my energy. I feel good for a short period, then slower and less clear afterwards, making me only able to focus half of the time because it causes brain fog. It is almost impossible to remove sugar completely. I still eat ketchup, for example, but I'm removing the unnecessary snacks, soda and sugar that I know makes me perform worse. The sixth thing is Netflix. Whenever I start watching a series, I become mentally involved in it. So I either stop watching and keep thinking about it, or I binge the whole entire thing and I lose hours. And neither of them really helps me, of course. I already have enough uncertainty and excitement in the life that I'm building. I don't need to borrow it from a fictional story. So Netflix is gone. The seventh thing is unintentional YouTube consumption. This was one of the hardest things to remove because I thought it was productive. And YouTube has genuinely helped me. It introduced me to ideas and business models that changed my life. YouTube is very valuable when you are lost and trying to find your path. But once you already know the path, more information can become a distraction. You watch one strategy, then another person contradicts it, and then you discover another opportunity. Eventually, consuming information becomes a sophisticated form of procrastination. When I looked honestly at why I was watching, I didn't really need the extra information. I wanted the stimulation of another insight. So I will still use YouTube as a creator and for specific research. I've downloaded a Chrome extension called Undistracted that blocks all of the recommended videos, and that makes it easier. So the unintentional consumption is gone. The eighth thing is music. And I don't think music is bad. The problem is how I used it. If I found a song that I really liked, I would repeat it 20 to 30 times, basically draining my whole dopamine tank. I also noticed that music often is changing my emotional state. Some songs makes me feel motivated, other songs makes me feel excited, and other songs make me feel emotional. But this is ruining my focus during the day. The only state I want from music is relaxation after a day of hard work. That is why I listen to background jazz sometimes when I'm eating dinner with my family. So I'm not avoiding every situation where music exists. But I'm no longer constantly putting music in my ears because I cannot sit with my natural state. I want silence to become normal again. The ninth thing is unnecessary purchases. Buying things can also become a form of stimulation. You look at products, you imagine how much better your life will be if you own them, you order something, you open the package, and then the excitement disappears and you look for that next thing. So I will still buy what I genuinely need, like food, clothing, equipment, education, but I'm not buying random things because I'm bored and I'm looking for another reward. The 10th thing is masturbation. I noticed that when I practiced semen retention for longer periods in the past, I became way more focused, energetic, and driven. I managed to reach 60 days and beyond 2 times, and both times led to me having massive breakthroughs in my business and me getting a girlfriend. Sexual energy is the strongest energy in the universe, so it is extremely difficult to control. But once you learn how to control that, you can control anything and channel that all into your work. So those are the 10 things. But the most important part is not the list. It is the type of agreement that I'm making. I've realized that there are 3 types of sacrifice when it comes to making an agreement to removing the things that are holding you back the most. First, we have permanent sacrifice, and that basically means saying I will never play video games again, I will never smoke weed again, and I will never watch Netflix again. For me, that created too much resistance, especially when I was still balancing my 9 to 5 and my business because I was still in beginner's hell. Because if you're still a beginner, then you're not very good at that thing. And if you're not very good at that thing, then that means that you will get little positive rewards. And if you get little positive rewards, then that means that in the beginning, the process is rather unenjoyable. Playing video games and smoking weed were some of the only things that I looked forward to. So when I told myself I had to give them up forever, a part of me refused. I could do it for a while, and then I would reach a weak moment and break the agreement. And every time you break your own word, you trust yourself a little less. So permanent sacrifice didn't work for me. The second is temporary sacrifice. This is the concept of monk mode. Basically, sacrifice these bad habits for a certain time period. I've tried multiple different lengths, multiple different times. 30 days, 60 days, even 90 days and 100 days. This was easier to commit to, but halfway through I would already start thinking about what I would do when the monk mode was over. My friends would ask me to play video games, and then I would say, not now, but after the monk mode. Someone would invite me to a festival, and I would think, I will go when the challenge is over. So even though I wasn't doing any of the bad habits, I was still thinking about them. And where attention goes, energy flows. So the urges got bigger, my productivity plummeted, and I was counting the days until I could return. Then the challenge ended, I went back to where I was, and I lost all momentum. So temporary sacrifice helped me stop, but it didn't always help me change. The third type is indefinite sacrifice. You don't remove something forever, you don't remove it for a fixed amount of time, but you remove it until you reach a specific goal. And this is what finally worked for me. I told myself I will not play video games or smoke weed until I hit $10,000 per month. And that agreement gave me peace. I didn't have to quit forever, but there was also no date to count towards. The only way to unlock the distraction was to reach my goal. So instead of thinking, when can I play again? I started thinking, what do I need to do in order to get $10,000 per month? The agreement removed the daily negotiation. Had I reached the goal? No. Then the agreement was still active. The simplicity helped me to build momentum. From that moment, it took me about 7 months to get my first paying client who paid me about $100 per month. Then around 7 months later, I managed to hit my first $10,000 month. For a long time, it looked like nothing was happening, but then the results came quickly. And when I reached the goal, something interesting happened. Because I was allowed to play video games and to smoke weed again. But I didn't really want to. Building my business had become more fulfilling than the distractions which I removed. So the sacrifice helped me become a different person. And that is why I'm doing it again. Now there is one more reason why this works extremely well. Because your brain is not objective, it judges stimulation relatively. Let's say this is the objective scale from the most stimulating thing that exists and the least stimulating thing that exists. If things like gaming, scrolling, and constant stimulation are still present in your life, then work will feel very boring in comparison. But when you remove those options and you replace it by absolutely nothing, then the work will become the most stimulating part. So if we look at it on a scale of 1 to 10, then here work is a 1, so that is the least stimulating thing, and here work is a 10, so that is the most stimulating thing. And by doing so, things like reading, taking a walk, and talking with family will feel way more fulfilling and colorful. So if you just remove all of the cheap dopamine, then work becomes the most stimulating part. You start wanting to solve problems, you want to create, and you want to improve. And if I don't feel like working, I can simply do nothing. I can sit in silence, take a walk without my phone, or stare at the wall. And after a while, the work will become interesting again. So give yourself 2 options. Either do the work or do nothing at all. Procrastination becomes much harder when the alternative is less stimulating than doing the thing. So how you can apply this? Your list should probably not be the same as mine. Maybe your biggest distraction is gaming, maybe it is social media, maybe anime, maybe shopping, or constantly consuming information without applying it. So choose one meaningful goal, then identify the 1 to 3 things that repeatedly pull you away from it, and then make an agreement with yourself. You can try permanent sacrifice, you can try temporary sacrifice, or you can try indefinite sacrifice. But keep in mind that your sleep is not a distraction. Your health is not a distraction. And meaningful relationships are also not necessarily distractions. The question is, does this support the life that I'm building, or am I using it to escape from that life? And then write the agreement down. Make the decision while you are thinking clearly. Because once the urges appear, your mind will try to renegotiate. But the decision has already been made. Have you reached the goal? If not, then the agreement remains. So, I cannot guarantee that removing these 10 things will automatically make me reach $100,000 per month. I still have to create value, improve my skills, make better decisions, and do the work. But I know that these things have repeatedly scattered my attention. So by removing them, I'm giving myself more time, energy, focus, and momentum so I become more capable of achieving that goal. Maybe it takes 1 year, maybe it takes 3 years, maybe 5. So what? Life is already better for me when I'm not constantly chasing stimulation. And if my ancestors could live without these things, so can I. So can you. So this is the agreement. Until I hit $100,000 per month, these 10 things are gone. The next time you see me doing any of them, one of two things happened. I either broke my word or I reached my goal. And of course, I have no intention of breaking my word. You don't have to sacrifice everything forever. Sacrifice what is holding you back until you become the person who no longer needs it. So that is the agreement. Now it is time to keep it.